Hello, hello! Welcome to the show. SykoYoda back here with another adventure in Minecraft, and today we're going to be doing some caving while I talk about a vacation I just took. Beauty of recording videos and not streaming content is the ability to give you the guys that I'm always here. And I've actually been gone. I've been on a trip to Disneyland with the family. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today, but first I wanted to show you this here. Dug down a too wide segment all the way down to bedrock. Found absolutely no caves, but this will take effect more so as we continue on with our builds here. This is essential to what I am planning for the area. But I noticed a ravine right over there somewhere, and I went in and started... Let's see if I can hit it. Ooh, so close. I went over in and started going through it quite a bit, lighting it up, all the layers of it and whatnot. I also started lighting up some caves. I ran into quite a few cave systems, so I figured I would just go ahead and stop there. And we could go over a couple of these spots left and see if there's anything else in here worth seeing. Gather a few resources while we're going, but nothing too spectacular. But as I said, we went to Disneyland. Went to Disneyland for a 5-day trip. Had a 4-day pass, and well, that was a short one. Had a good time exploring everything with my son. He'd never been there before. Last time Rain and I were there, I believe. She was there after I. Last time Rain and I was like 16, 17 years ago, something like that. A lot has changed since then. Oh my gosh, a lot has changed. It's a very busy place now, and we actually talked to, on our way out, we talked to one of the bellhops, if you will, or what have you, at the place we stayed. We stayed at Paradise Pier, and he was talking about part of the issues with why it is the way it is, and we went this time of year because we assumed... What the heck was that noise? We assumed that it would be quiet, because this is the same time we went, the previous time we went, and there was like pretty much nobody there. And said it's just not the case anymore, and the reasoning behind that is because of all of the locals that go there. Like, they get annual passes, there's no restrictions on them, they go constantly, and this is also a dead end. Well, shoot, I already went through everything else. Might have to find some more caves. The restrictions, there is no restrictions on it or anything, so they just come in and hang out. I mean, not necessarily even hitting up lines, they just go in there, and that's like a place to go be seen type of thing. His suggestion was that the annual passes should only be 9 months, and they should be blocked so that there'd be always a segment of 3 months that was not within somebody's annual pass. Ergo, you know, it'd be the first 9 months, the last 9 months, and then in between those. So you'd always have 3-month periods where annual card holders didn't have a chance to go in there. It would reduce the amount of people in there quite a bit. Alright, let me go ahead and see if I can find another cave system to start off some more adventuring in here. I'm just skirting around the mountain here. If you see, I'm right up there is the mountain top. Found another tunnel of sorts. Let's go ahead and go into this cave and see what it has to offer for us, shall we? Been picking up quite a bit of the coal. Eventually I'll have a huge surplus of it and it won't matter to me, but I always like to start out with grabbing all of it. A lot of people just ignore it altogether. It's not my style, man. I like to make sure that I have plenty of it early on, and then later on, if I don't need it, I won't need to worry about it too much. One of the things that... Let's see if I can grab that there. Yep. one of the things that ends up becoming very, very obvious to cavers is there's going to be more iron and more coal than you need. But the problem is you only think in the now type of situation. Later on, you end up running into a situation where you may have wanted that. Now I brought what? How the heck? I brought my looting sword exactly for that purpose. I'm still trying to get gunpowder to make some TNT here. And having a hell of a time. There's just a very, very slight lag situation that happens when you're on a server dealing with mobs, and it's killing me, Smalls, with the creepers specifically, being able to get them in a melee death. Where did you come from? I'm assuming that probably just comes right around. Let's go ahead and get up here better. Okay. Anyway, so we talked about basically the parks being extremely over full, and there's really there's not much you can do about it. You can try to plan when to go, but apparently there's really no time of the year that's good anymore. They have done a really good job about creating reasons to come at any time of the year via different things. This time of the year, of course, is the holiday season, so they have a whole bunch of holiday things going on, including, which was the most interesting and surprising thing that we ran into. Anybody that's been to Disneyland and has gone on all of the rides, you will know about It's a Small World. Well, Small World ride is a terrible ride in the sense that it's really annoying. But that's also part of its charm, in my opinion. Like, I like the fact that it's so annoying. The last time I went on the ride 3 times in a row, just for the factor of, yeah, let's see if you can, stand doing it that many times type of thing. And everybody thought I was crazy for suggesting such a thing, but they got it after we did it. It was very entertaining, and the best part about it was that nobody wanted to go on that ride, so we literally walked like right onto the ride. It was fairly late at night. It was like 6 o'clock when we did it, and then we did it 3 times back to back. No line to wait. We just basically got off the line, walked back in, got back on the line, or on the ride. And so I was thinking, okay, this time I'm gonna have this experience for my son, so he can listen to this terrible song over and over again. It's a small world after all. And sure enough, they changed it up. They holidayed it, and it was like one of the biggest draws there for the holiday season. The line was always 45-50 minutes long for this terrible ride. Now, I don't know, because I never went on it. The line was just way too long for me to bother. I don't know what they changed on the ride itself to make it so appealing to people, but holy cow, was it was a surprise. It was a huge surprise. I couldn't believe that anybody would care enough to even if it had gotten all fixed up and lit up with holiday decorations and whatnot. To me, there's nothing there that can draw enough of a desire for me to go onto that line and wait 50 minutes to go see It's a Small World. But holy cow, it was ridiculous. Overall, the amount of people that were there compared to the last time we went, I would dare say it was double. There were literal sections in both parks, but particularly Disneyland. I'm talking about California Adventure Park as well. Disneyland, strollers everywhere. I mean, everywhere. Stroller parking. And it's nothing but a sea of strollers. And the stuff that people would leave on these strollers was amazing to me. Like, you wanted to, rummage through people's bags. You could probably get away with it without anybody even saying anything, because nobody would know if it was your bag or not. the whole situation was very, very odd as far as that was concerned. And to me, I don't understand why you would even consider bringing such a young child to a park like that. Okay, let's say you have an older kid. Let's say you have a couple of older kids, but you still have one that's in a stroller. In that respect, yes, I get it. I could understand wanting to still create a vacation situation for your children. And I may be personally willing to look past the idea of having to deal with having a baby in a situation that no baby should ever really be in. Sitting in line out in the sun or in the weather for several hours each day, knowing that full well that you can't really do anything about it when it comes to rides. You're stuck with the baby. You can't go on the rides because the baby, of course, can't go on the majority of the rides. And you're spending thousands of dollars to do this. I mean, it's not a cheap experience. Even if you were lived in the area, it's not a cheap experience. It's one of those things that just, it's beyond me. It baffles my mind why people would want to put themselves through that. Just makes no sense whatsoever. Now, here's an idea. Keep your kid at home with your mom and dad. They'd love to have their grandkids for a few days while you went off and had a vacation with your significant other. Meanwhile, the kid, who's too young to remember the experience anyway, gets nothing out of going to Disneyland and having breakfast with Mickey because A, they're scared when you force them to do this, and B, they don't remember it. And if they do remember it at such a young age, it was because it traumatized them and they want nothing to do with any mascot, if you will, ever again. So, it's another one of those things where I don't understand why people do it. I just don't get it. All these people making sure they get pictures with their little ones with all these different characters from all of the movies and stuff. And little ones are crying because they don't want to be handed off to this stranger. They don't want to be anywhere near this thing that looks like a giant dog with crazy looking eyes. Why are you doing this to me, Mommy? Oh, but you'll thank me when you're older and I can show you a picture of. Remember that time? Oh, you don't remember? Oh yeah, you had a great time. It was amazing. Great time. Really? Really? What do we do to our children in this world? I'm telling you, man. It seems like to me, more often than not, these days, you get into the situation where a child is like a plaything or a trophy or some other form of bizarre God, I can't do it! Like, I just can't do it. I won't blame the keyboard. I got a new keyboard, which is why you might hear a few louder ticks than normal. I got a new mechanical keyboard. It was on sale for Black Friday. Picked it up. Working great. It's a little bit louder. Can't really blame it on the keyboard. I'm just retarded. That's all there is to it. But yeah, the things that we do to our kids, it's beyond me. It doesn't make sense. I don't find it fair to the child, and overall, it's an awful expensive thing to do. For something that the kid's not going to remember. Well, I think it's safe to say we found a pretty good caving system here. Lots and lots of offshoots to check out. Woohoo! I'm gonna successfully get one. 1 out of, I think, 3. That's not bad. We can keep that up. We're gonna be gold, you know. We'll have a stack of gunpowder in no time, which of course gets us pretty much nowhere with TNT because how many of them we need. If we had a desert, I could be looking for desert temples. They had tons of TNT, I tell you what. Alright, this is just the loop back around. Yes, it is. Ooh, I missed some coal over here. So, we had some good times in both the parks. And it worked out really well for us because even with it being so crowded, we are fairly early risers. Like, we get up around 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. Pretty much all the time at this point because we're so used to doing it. That's what time we get up to, get ready for the day. Corbin and I get up that time period to start getting ready for the day. And then Rain's up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning most days for work. So we got up without setting an alarm even. We got up around 7 o'clock and we would essentially just head into the park, whatever one we were deciding to do that day. And, we took advantage of the early pass things that you get for staying with them and getting a 4-day pass and staying at the resorts there. You get all these different perks if you do everything through them and with them. And interestingly enough, that people think that it's going to be more expensive to stay on property, this, that, and the other. If you book it well in advance, and I'm saying like 6 months, if you book it well in advance and you book it directly through them, it's really cheap. It's really not that bad. Overall was, I think, $2,200 or something like that to plan the whole trip. Obviously, we spent more than that because of spending money in the park and that. But heard one lady screaming about how she spent $4,400 for this trip, blah blah blah, or she spent $4,000 for this trip, and this was going on and that was going on. Essentially, what it came down to is she was mad because they were being held up at security going into the park because they don't allow selfie sticks in the park, and she was very perturbed about this, thinking that she was better than everyone else and that her daughter should be allowed to bring her selfie stick in. Well, I'm sorry, it's just part of their rules. This is how the world works. There are rules, and you have to follow them. It doesn't matter how much money you spent on your vacation and how much you mistakenly spent more than you should have. It's not my problem. Have a good day. All the rides were up and running except for the closed area. It was the... I can't remember the name of what it used to be called. Anyway, it is closed because they're turning it into Star Wars Land, essentially. They're going to have a whole Star Wars area in Disneyland theme park. That meant that because of that, the riverboat ride and one other thing was closed. Both of them were older things that had been around for quite a while, and it wasn't anything that we were, really upset about missing. Weather was great. It was like 70 degrees during the day the whole time we were there. Some overcast here and there. But coming from Washington State, I mean, that was a nice early summer day for us. We didn't have any issues with that whatsoever. Made for a really good trip as far as I was concerned. Now this is a debacle. I gotta find my way back to the main cave section. I do believe we have found it, along with another creeper that of course I will end up not being able to hit properly and all that good stuff. Now I would hit him with my bow and then just hit him once with the thing, but my bow is so powerful it typically kills him with one hit, although if I don't pull it all the way back... What? I hit him! See, what is that? I'm so retarded. I'm so retarded. Ay. Anyway, back to the stories. Went on a lot of the rides. A lot of the rides had been updated or changed. Some of them even just changed for the holidays. Perfect and best example of that was the haunted house. Was done up with a Jack Skellington type theme for Christmas. Of which, by the way, I was not a fan. I do like Jack Skellington, and I like, what is that called? Dang it. The original one. I don't like the Corpse Bride. I like the original one. What is it called? Anyway, like that movie. but I was not a fan of the haunted house done up for that. I prefer the OG stylings of the haunted house. I loved the concept of it, and I was so looking forward to showing my son all about. He was freaked out about it. I said, dude, there's nothing to be freaked out. You're gonna love it, trust me. And he ended up not liking it because, well, it was kind of stupid the way it was set up. So looks like we're gonna end up having a ravine here. So it is what it is. Some of the things were in my opinion a miss rather than a hit, but you deal with that because you just don't know. And I get why they change those things up to get more traffic in, change things up for people that have been there before, have a reason for them to come back because, hey, this is going to be different. Another ride that they updated, if you will, was Space Mountain is now Hyperspace Mountain, and it's supposed to be Star Wars themed. They did a very poor job of making it that. It's darker even more so than it was prior. Anybody who's been on that ride before will know that the way it used to be, there was kind of like it was all in a basically black room, and there was kind of like a black light theme going on where the cars glowed and you could see them when they were kind of coming towards each other, made them look like you were going to run into each other. A few other things that take place that it made for a fun experience, and the best part about it is as a roller coaster, not really being able to see. Ooh, wait. I think this is just open to the surface. That's why it's here. Not really being able to see what's going on and where the turns and stuff are coming. It makes the roller coaster seem much more severe than it actually is, which is a brilliant concept for that because then you don't really have to have this elaborately long, complicated, big drop roller coaster. If you've kind of lost your sight, it's one of your senses. Your other senses have to make up for it, and it creates an interesting experience. That part of it was still there because it was so dark, but at some points it was just literally black, and Corbin didn't care for it. He didn't like the idea of not being able to see what was happening at all, and I don't blame him. So overall, the way that they tried to fix it up, if you will, for a new experience, really it wasn't presented well, in my opinion. It was kind of piss poor done. And I think it was more so just we now own Star Wars. We need to come up with something Star Wars themed because we have the rights to use this. Let's think of a way to incorporate that as quickly as possible. Got ourselves another ravine here. There's quite a few of them. Let's see about lighting some of the top of this one up first here. Some of the other stuff that they changed up and whatnot wasn't terrible. Some of it was good. There wasn't anything that was too convoluted or anything like that, like the haunted house situation. I liked the updates that they did to the Pirates of the Caribbean. They did a really good job of incorporating the movies into that one without overdoing it. Very simple things. Mostly it was just sound bites to kind of bring in the character voices of the movies themselves. The animatronics and all that stuff pretty much was the exact same. They added Captain Jack Sparrow's likeness in a couple of places to help sell that, and it was done well. Wasn't over the top or anything like that. That ride stayed consistently busy too, so it was one of those that if you wanted to be crap, if you wanted to be in it, you went in early to avoid the line. They have these things called fast passes, which the first day we didn't quite utilize very well. and we figured out as time went on how to do that better. But you definitely wanted to take advantage of the whole fast pass thing. That's for sure. The way that it was set up, it's a pretty smart idea. Essentially, the best rides there, the fast passes get used up quicker. And in order to use a fast pass, you can only have one per entry ticket at a time. So anybody that was looking to utilize the fast passes full-fledged, it kind of forced them to use it on ones that weren't necessarily the really good rides, or the most, not necessarily the good ride, the ones that were most people wanted to go on. Those two don't necessarily coincide with each other, just FYI. It worked out pretty well for us, again, because of the early entrance thing. We would get on average a chance to use 3 fast passes a day, and I don't know that you would get more of an opportunity to do that really anyway, unless you were looking to do the same ride over and over again, whichever one had the shortest fast pass wait. And essentially all that does is allows you to skip the majority of the line for that particular ride, and gets you onto the ride much faster. Interesting thing to keep in mind about that goes along with it is that the fast passes that got you there the shortest time wait. So like say it was 8 o'clock and you would get a fast pass for say like 9. They also had the shortest lines typically. So in some cases, if you looked at what the lines were, if they were like 5-10 minute line, there was no need to even bother trying to get a fast pass for that specific one. Just go wait in line, because ultimately you can get on and off that thing so quickly. There was no need to get a fast pass for it. I mean, you got to be doing something while you're waiting for these other rides' fast pass time to show up. And then a way that would work is they'd only allot so many fast passes every 5-minute blocks. So you would have an hour to use it, so it'd be like 8 to 9, and then it would go 8:05 to 9:05, etc., etc. And a couple of the rides were like the middle of the day. Fast passes were already gone. We were made aware of the situation that this would happen ahead of time, so those were the ones that we would always hit like first thing in the morning, which even then, we wouldn't necessarily get on until like 12:30, 1 o'clock. But we got those early enough that it allowed us to, once we used that fast pass, get fast passes for other things. And then, for us, the last fast pass we would get for the day, say fast pass that many times, holy cow, would be like 6:30 time period, which wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad at all. By the time lunchtime rolled around, the parks were completely packed, and those are the times that you would want to basically focus on having fast pass tickets or those lines that just didn't have a backup. It's kind of interesting, like some of the lines we never waited more than, the longest we waited in any line was about a half hour, and we never waited in any line on average more than about 10-15 minutes. So you had the situation where you almost got a false sense of what to expect, because by the time, say, 2 o'clock rolled around, hey, maybe we should go hit up that other, Thunder Mountain Railroad again before we leave the park. So we go check it out, and we never waited more than 5-10 minutes for that ride, not once. Never had to get a fast pass for it. End up getting in the area on the Saturday we were there, and holy cow, I would guess to wager that line was probably about an hour, maybe a little bit over an hour wait, and that was something that we had never experienced. Like, we just go over there and essentially within 5-10 minutes walk into the ride and go on it. Very interesting experience compared to the time that Rain and I went there, and how much different things had gotten from one end to the other. I think the coolest thing about the whole adventure was seeing how much Corbin enjoyed roller coasters. The number one favorite ride for him there was very unexpected for me to see that be the case. Was the California Screamin roller coaster in California Adventures side of things on the park. Amazing roller coaster, but holy cow, it's just an intense experience from start to finish. Very well done, and the fact that a 10-year-old was so pleased and so tickled with that ride, it's just amazing to me. We only spent one day in California Adventure, because although the park California Adventure side itself was much better and much better laid out and a less crowded experience and what have you, it doesn't have enough stuff to keep you going there. So we only spent the one day there, but the day that we spent there, we went on every ride there, and then all the good ones we went on at least twice, and we went on I think the roller coaster 3 times, but it could have been 4. I believe that's what Corbin says was 4 times. I think it was only 3, and he would have gladly. Dill spam clicking don't work no more either. He would have gladly went on it again, and to the point that the last day we were there, I asked him, we had already been in both parks. We can go to either one, whatever park you guys want to go to, we'll go to. And we kind of had a debate as to why we would go to one park over the other. We ended up settling on going to Disneyland for the last day, but the argument was, and very well argued, was that we could go on that California Screamin roller coaster several times. That was one of the rides. The line never ever got long. Like, the longest you had to wait was like 15 minutes. So it was pleasing. It was very cool to see that Corbin enjoyed that so much, and so now we can plan future trips for something that has roller coasters as being part of the reason to go there. This has one of the best roller coasters in the world, etc. type of thing. We can now push for that, which is a fun thing to think about and look forward to. I do believe that our next experience like this, or big vacation like this, will probably be to Universal Studios, so we can check out the Harry Potter stuff and things like that. That's also something that I feel like should be done. Did I hear a skeleton? I feel like that's something that should be done at a fairly young age to experience that as well. Corbin's 10 years old, and I would say that between 8 and 10 is the best time to bring your kid to Disneyland to experience it. So I want to make sure that we follow suit with Universal on that as well. Many of you guys would say I should go be checking out Legoland, but that's really set up for young kids, and quite frankly, there's not much there that's a draw in general, but for adults at all. It's not what you would think. I would not waste my time going to it. And yes, I haven't been there, so I can't say all of this for sure, but it's from what I have been told and seen, there's really no reason to go to Legoland. It's kind of it's too early in its fruition, or just not well thought out enough to be such a such a magical experience as, say, Disneyland is. Is there darkness over here? Ooh, yeah. Well, I think that's probably going to do it. I'm sure I've talked the ear off. If there's anything that comes up that's worth seeing, I will be sure to add it in here. But I'm just going to continue on lighting up caves and looking for stuff around the area. The next part of the adventure here in Minecraft is going to be... Oh, I'm just back to this ravine now. Is going to be... starting a few projects here at the base. I'm still hoping to get some creeper powder and make some explosives, so we'll do that. Quick update on the map. We have obviously expanded it, and since the 1.11 came out, we have successfully gotten all of that mapped, and we are still missing mesa biome. We are still missing, let's see here, what do I want to get rid of? We're still missing, oh, hello, creeper. Jungle, which is a really big one for the majority of us because we're looking for brown dye, and the only way you can get that now is jungle. You can no longer get cocoa beans in abandoned mine shafts, or was it... I can't remember where they used to be. All I know is they took them out, and you can only get it in jungle. So we're missing jungle, mesa, and we're missing the mushrooms, which, although is fun, it's not. Nobody's super worried about that one. So we'll have to work around that for a while until the next one comes out, or we decide we're not going to wait anymore, depending on how long it takes to get to that point. Hope you guys enjoyed this very much talky episode, and look forward to seeing you here again on another adventure in Minecraft as we continue to create and explore and talk about things and life and stuff. We'll see you next time.